You know what that sound means? It's another episode of Game for a Movie where we ask, are you game for a movie? My name is Mike. I will be your host tonight. I have a brand new movie that I saw in theaters to talk about. It is technically a bad movie. We'll get into why it's technically a bad movie in a little bit. But first, we've got to talk about what we are drinking. Today's actually going to be a chill day for me. Normally, I am drinking, but I thought I'd take it a little easy today. I've got a Sprite Chill. It's cherry lime. It's delicious. If you've not had it before, I'm addicted to Coca-Cola, like really addicted to it. And usually Coca-Cola is in the house always. I went with the Sprite Chill this week instead of Coca-Cola because of how much I like this drink. It's very good if you've not had it before. But yeah, so it's a chill Friday where we are sipping on a Sprite Chill and enjoying talking about a bad movie that came out today of all days. So this bad movie is Borderlands. Borderlands is written by Eli Roth. That's an important little stat there because the guy who actually wrote it asked for his name to be pulled off of the writing credits. If that is something to go by to start everything off, yeah, that's not a good start. So the script has been in development hell for a little while. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was originally the writer on this. And basically this script was selling like hotcakes. Like everybody wanted a piece of it. It was something that everybody knew was going to be a hit, especially with the script he wrote. And then the changes happened and the studio interference, and the official writer of this movie is now Eli Roth and Joe Abercrombie. Depending on your opinions of Eli Roth, that's going to have a lot of input on what you think of this movie. He's given us some pretty decent horror movies in the past and everything like that. This is a little strange for him to be directing / writing, but, you know, that's what he decided he wanted to do. So let's go to why this is technically a bad movie and technically not. So usually when we're selecting a bad movie, for me anyway, I like to go with something that is under 40% on both audience and critic score for Rotten Tomatoes. When I went and saw this movie, the critic score was a 3%. Now, as of recording, it is up to 5%, and the audience score is 51%. So technically, yes, it is not qualifying as a bad movie by my standards. However, this was a bad movie. I think it's a little cruel to give it a 5%. I will say that. I don't think it's that bad. I've seen a lot worse, especially for the show. But like just in general, even if I hadn't seen all these bad movies, I don't think I would have given it a 5%. I'm currently in the range of like 30%. I still think it's a bad movie, no matter what you say about it. And I'll have more thoughts as we expand on it. But truthfully, I don't think the critic score is fair. I also don't think, however, for the same price, that the audience score is fair, because some of these reviews are things like, it's not as good as Bucky Larson Born to Be a Star, 5 stars. You know, so there's definitely some people that are messing with the scores on this one. I think it truly counts as a bad movie. Hey, you can argue with me all you want about it, because at the end of the day, it is sitting at a 51% audience score. So, it may not count. I still think it does. I saw it, and I'm going to review it anyway as if it did. But we can have that conversation at our X/Twitter or Instagram. Technically, we're still on Facebook, even though I deleted mine, so I can't really talk to you on there. So don't reach out to us there. So the first thing we got to talk about with this movie is the cast. The cast is interesting because you're looking at the cast going, this is heavy hitters. Like, these are big names. How does this movie get all these big names? And then you realize the characters they're trying to play, especially if you're a fan of the games. I've never played the games. I'm going to say that straight up. I know a lot about them, a lot, because I have been interested in the lore. I just never actually picked up the game and played, and I'm sure I would love it if I did. I just haven't done so. But I know enough about the lore to know who these characters are supposed to be, and I'm seeing some of them going, that doesn't really make sense. I'll give it, in this movie, The weirdest casting I saw was Kevin Hart as Roland. Truthfully, I didn't mind his portrayal of Roland. It wasn't your normal, typical Kevin Hart goofiness. So, am I a fan of it? No. But for the most part, he wasn't too bad on the scale. Then we've got people like Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis. She was very strange in that role. I don't know why she needed to take this one. And I'll also say we want a Borderlands movie that has Handsome Jack, right? That's what we want. I don't know how we didn't get even like a teaser of it or anything like that. We got nothing of even relating to Handsome Jack. Instead, we got this character Atlas, played by Edgar Ramirez, which he was fine, but he also was nothing special. I think if you were to count a bad guy performance from this year, it's definitely going to be on the lower end, just thinking about some of the villains we've seen this year. But yeah, as we dive into this movie, this cast is definitely something that we're going to be coming back to. Let's dive into the details, though, of the actual movie itself. This is spoiler-filled. So if you have not seen it and you want to see it, go see it, then come back. If you don't want to see it or you've seen it already, I'm going to spoil pretty much everything. So spoiler alert right now, here is the entirety of the Borderlands movie. First off, the movie starts with some narration. We know, because we know who Cate Blanchett is, that it's Cate Blanchett's voice, and she's talking about Pandora. Pandora is a planet that has been taken over by psychos and also say treasure hunters that are looking for this vault. This vault was put there by the Iridiums. The Iridiums, basically, you need to have a child of Iridia to open the vault. So everybody's trying to figure out how to open this vault on Pandora. It's made it so that there's a ton of people called psychos that are killing people. There's the treasure hunters that have taken over. And basically, it's been bad for the people who live in Pandora, this whole vault hunt. That is the narration that gets us started. And then we end up in a prison-like satellite that's floating around and everything like that, where Roland tries to break out Tina. Roland is played by Kevin Hart. Tina is played by Ariana Greenblatt. There's a couple short jokes about the fact that Roland is played by Kevin Hart and short, obviously. And there's a couple sarcastic jokes back at her expense. Roland is trying to break her out of the prison-like place. We don't know why at this point, but we think it's just she's been captured and he wants to do the right thing and break her out. They do get attacked by the Lance soldiers. So Lance is the corporation that works for Atlas. We don't know this at this time, but I'm just going to try to make it easier for everybody involved. And one of the Lance soldiers is this girl Knox, who has a disagreement with Kevin Hart, Roland, and you can tell there's kind of a would they, won't they by the end of this movie. While they are fighting the Lance soldiers, one of the psychos escapes from the prison ship as well. He is played by Florian Munteanu. He is Victor Drago in the Creed movies. He plays Krieg in this movie, a psycho that really is just there to protect Tina. And so Roland is able to come to an agreement with him that he is protecting her and wants to help her escape. So Krieg is happy to follow along as well. Then we get a title card showing that we are now 50 light years away, and we are introducing Cate Blanchett's character of Lilith. Lilith is a bounty hunter, and we are introduced to her as she is trying to get this bounty. She sits down at a bar, basically knocks the guy out so she can drink before turning him in for the money. 3 guys approach Lilith at the bar, 2 of which are the muscle. One is like the smooth talker kind of thing. Lilith, done talking with them, flips around and shoots the 2 muscle guys and then holds the one guy at gunpoint. Everybody leaves the bar, and she's left alone with that guy and then another guy who is Atlas. It's not really Atlas. It's Atlas's face on a regular guy. And Lilith, not wanting to hear what he has to say, shoots him immediately. So this innocent guy, I'm assuming innocent, maybe not, maybe he does work for the organization or whatever, but this innocent guy is now dead just because Atlas wanted to use his face. Or use his body, really. Atlas makes the smooth talker wear the device on his face so Atlas can talk to her and not get shot. Obviously, he does these kind of deals and knows how dangerous it can be and everything like that. And he offers Lilith a ton of money to go to Pandora and rescue his kidnapped daughter, Tina. Lilith sees how much money she could end up getting, and she agrees to do so. This is going to take her back to her home planet, Pandora. When she first gets to Pandora, she knows she needs a ride, so she goes and takes a tour bus kind of thing for treasure hunters led by this guy, Marcus. Marcus is kind of annoying, but, he's just this big, loud salesman that's trying to, make a quick buck off of these treasure hunters, running tours and everything. Really, she doesn't want to be on this bus. It's just the quickest way to get to Firestone, where where Tina was last seen. So after listening to the long tour video and getting to Firestone, this is where the treasure hunt is supposed to begin. Even though she's not a treasure hunter, she's a bounty hunter. Marcus knows that she's going to end up being looking for the treasure. She gets to Firestone and she starts sensing that something's following her, and she doesn't exactly know what. And when it finally pops its head out, she shoots him straight in the face. And that was Claptrap. Claptrap is a robot played by Jack Black. He's been asleep for 35 years, we learn, but for whatever reason, when she got to the planet, he got reactivated. And he doesn't know who he works for. He doesn't know why he got reactivated. He just knows he got reactivated because she set foot on the planet again. After shooting him more than once, Lilith is finally talking with Claptrap and realizes how annoying he is, but he can be of some use. She shows him a picture. He's able to connect to the EchoNet, which is the satellite system across the entire planet of Pandora, and he's able to find where she was last seen based on the picture she gives him. He ends up seeing her at this big ship clearing that crashed on the planet, and they decide that they're going to go in the morning and try to find her and take her home to her father. One of the things they need to do in order to do so is steal some wheels, which happens a little too easy from some psychos and also the Lance soldiers. Lilith is able to figure out that they're working together. She doesn't understand why, but she can see that they're working together somehow, including capturing children, which is a little strange to me. They don't really go into detail about that, but that did happen. The scavenger children, for whatever reason, were kidnapped and put in these cages. And Lilith kind of shows that she has a heart because she frees the kids first and then takes out the psycho and steals his car in order for her and Claptrap to get to where Tina was last seen. Lilith goes into the ship where she thinks that Tina might be staying and sees all of these stuffed animals on the wall and on the bed and everything like that. And, she figures it's a kid. This kid loves her stuffed animals and everything like that. So she's kind of talking to nobody, but she kind of senses that Tina might be listening, Tina might be there. And she was saying that she wants to bring her to her father, rescue her, and bring her to Atlas. And at first, Tina seems really excited. And so she asks Lilith to grab her bunny on the bed and bring it with. And so Lilith grabs the stuffed animal, and all of a sudden, it starts lighting up. It turns out it's a bomb. So Lilith is able to escape to where Tina is. Tina had climbed up the ship face and is now above her and has the high ground. And she just starts chucking stuffed animal bombs at her. After a while, it seems like she runs out of ammunition or is just done throwing stuff at her and goes, well, at least I still have my protector. Hey, Krieg! And Krieg breaks in and starts attacking Lilith. Obviously, this big battle and all of these explosions and everything, they kind of draw some attention to them. So the Lance soldiers hear the explosions and they know where to find Tina. Nox is in the lead and is just leading this army over to her and says that they're going to bring her back and everything like that. Lilith, outsmarting Krieg, gets sent up to the top of the ship face and is basically like, okay, I didn't realize that Atlas sent more than one person. This is my bounty. I'm taking it home with me. Tina, not wanting to be caught by either of them, throws another explosive towards Nox's direction, and it blows up the ship and it starts to fall. So Tina and Lilith end up on the ground now with Krieg, and they're kind of stuck. There's nobody around or anything like that, and this army is coming after them. Until Roland comes around in his big old souped up SUV, and everybody hops in, including Claptrap. There's a whole little skirmish about who's going to drive, who's going to shoot at the army, and everything like that. And they get slowed down because somehow Claptrap ends up being the one driving and is not doing a very good job about it. So they get wrapped up by a bunch of other SUVs. It's kind of like a convoy now, and they think they're stuck. Well, Roland figures out, hey, I know a shortcut. I can get us out of here. He swings his SUV left, and they go to the piss swamp. I wish I was joking about that. It is literally a piss swamp, and it is overseen by this thing called a thresher, which is like a giant worm with tentacles and everything like that. Basically, one of the things that happens is Tina's just like, what's that smell, trying to open the window so she can get the smell out, and they all get splashed with urine. But as Claptrap says, it's not just urine, it's also like 16% fecal matter. So, poop, piss jokes. Yeah, that's what we're on. This is the level of humor we have for this movie. They're trying to get through the piss swamp and all of the tentacles that are attacking them from the thresher, and then they get to the end of the road where the thresher is waiting for them and realize they're kind of stuck. So Roland hits the reverse, and they're being followed by the Lance soldiers as well. So either way, they're kind of stuck. They're between a rock and a hard place. Well, Roland has an idea and decides that he's going to step on the gas, hit a jump, throw a grenade that goes into the thresher's mouth, perfectly explodes, and they go through the thresher's mouth, through his neck, and land on the other side while the thresher dies. This gives them just enough time to get away from it, and basically they don't have to worry about the army for a little bit, and the thresher's dead. This takes us to our first night of camping out, where basically a whole conversation starts about the fact that they don't think they can trust Lilith or Claptrap. I almost said Craptrap, but honestly, with his character, even though it's played by the wonderful Jack Black, Craptrap might be a better name for him because, I don't know, the humor in this movie, I feel like, never really hit. They think they're a lot funnier than they actually are, and that's part of the problem. Plus, I know somebody like Claptrap, like, he's supposed to be funny, but he's also supposed to be annoying. And there's a fine line that you need to balance. And even though it is Jack Black and we all love him and everything like that, it just doesn't quite hit. It's more annoying than it is funny. I definitely felt towards the end that he was grating on me a lot. So Lilith is able to convince him to trust her and Claptrap to show, like, hey, we fired on the Lance crew. We're obviously, like, doing this job, but really we're here now to protect the girl. So their next plan is they're going to find Roland's contact, the scientist. They don't say what the scientist's name is, but they are looking for the scientist. So they head to Sanctuary City, and they have like these masks that they wear so they can blend in. These masks are like light masks, like it's made out of light, so it like hides your face, but it's just kind of cooler looking, I guess. There's no real point to it. Marcus is at the Sanctuary City. He was the guy that did the tour and everything like that. And he immediately recognizes Lilith. So it makes me wonder, are these masks even any good? Because he recognized her right off the bat. They go to a place called Moxie's. Moxie is played by Gina Gershon. She lets them all in. She gets a milkshake for Tina and then drinks for the rest. And they're going to talk for a little bit. And she's going to be able to show them where the scientist is the idea. Meanwhile, there is a guy named Larry who is an off-duty Lance soldier that recognize Roland, and they apparently have some history and they're really close friends. So Roland's just like, I'm going to handle this. You get the information from Moxie. Roland learns from Larry that the bounty on him has gone up. Instead of 100,000 credits, it's now 150,000 credits. And Moxie tells Lilith that she knew her and her mother when she was younger, and that her mother loved her and knew that she was special. And Lilith is just like, no, I didn't come to deal with this. I just want to know where the scientist is. So Moxie shows her where the scientist should be. It's this stairway, and you have to say the password Echo, and that's going to get you up the stairway to the scientist. Larry is all of a sudden getting a little trigger happy. He wants that bounty on Roland. He now knows if he captures him, he gets 150,000 credits. And because it's gone up even more so, now he wants to take him out. Before Larry, played by Bobby Lee, by the way, before he's able to get his weapon, Moxie is able to tase him. And so he's subdued, and basically he convinces the Lance soldiers that he drank too much. And Bobby Lee's just like, no, she tased me. I didn't drink too much. You know I can handle my liquor. But she's able to like hide that and get them out the back door. While Larry is like stunned, though, he does hear Claptrap and like realizes he's part of their group. They're able to sneak out the back door and they get to the stairway. And I say stairway, but really it's an elevator. And they did say it was a stairway. Like, I don't understand why they said stairway when it was really an elevator. She says the password echo, it doesn't work. And then Tina goes, echo, 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 and it works. And they're able to get up to the scientist who is above Sanctuary City. The scientist, her name is Tanis, and she is played by Jamie Lee Curtis. We learn right off the bat that Tanis and Lilith have a little bit of a history. I don't think it came out now, but it really doesn't matter that much to the story at this point. Basically, when Lilith's mother when she died, she had given up Lilith to Tanis to watch over. And Tanis didn't do a very good job watching over her. She kind of put herself into her science stuff and not into raising a child. So Lilith is kind of upset that they're dealing with Tanis, and she goes and sits out on the balcony and just kind of watches over the city. And who comes out to join her but Tina? Tina is kind of like talking about all about her dad and everything like that, and that she's not really biological child of Atlas. He found the first key, and on that key was iridium blood. And so he was able to create clones because he knows he needs a child of the iridium to open the vault. So she's basically been an experiment. She's been captive in this like prison ship and everything like that, just to get experiments done on her. And she knows she's not the first of the experiments. But she also knows that because she is iridium, she is going to be special. Lilith kind of connects with her, and she's willing to drop her differences with Tanis to work together to find this vault, because they know if they find this vault, they can get out scot-free and not have to worry about Atlas chasing after Tina anymore. And Lilith has kind of found that's what she wants. She wants Tina to be on her own, and maybe the group will stay together, maybe not. Maybe they'll stay together. Who knows? She just sees a little bit of herself in Tina and wants to protect this child. So Tanis lays the plan. They are going to find the second key, which they know is in this thought to be abandoned mine. They don't know exactly where, but they know that they need to get into this mine. And in order to do so, they need to go in this tunnel that has like this chemical, this corrosive chemical. So they make this plan that they're going to do and everything like that. They're going to sleep it off for the night. And for whatever reason, Claptrap goes down to the city and just like takes a field trip. There's no reason for it. He just does. And he gets noticed by Larry. And so Larry's like following him, and they know they need to get out of there now. They need to hightail it. The Lance soldiers that now know they're in the city start looking at everybody, including people wearing masks, because they want to find these guys and capture them. So these guys get away in a trash truck. They escape in a trash truck. My thing is, they are checking almost every person. Why wouldn't you check like trucks and stuff that are leaving the city? Especially one that definitely is big enough to hide 6 people, right? Nope, they don't do it. I don't know. It's whatever. So our crew gets to the mine and the tunnel that leads in. They talk about the corrosive chemical and how basically it eats through anything except for the minerals in the cave. I have a problem with this because later you see this chemical is being transported by pipes, and like, that isn't made out of the mineral of the cave, or are these pipes normal pipes and it just isn't getting eaten through? I don't know. That's just what my thought was at this point. Tina is ready to lead the way, so she jumps on the grates above the chemical, and Basically, she's like, I did it because I'm the lightest, so we wanted to see and make sure this works. And then she starts jumping up and down on it because she thinks, this is fine. I'm special. I'm supposed to be alive. And she falls. Krieg somehow ends up there and saves her life. And they all plan to go down this grate, but take it slow and everything like that. She showed them how dangerous it can be. They also send Claptrap an alternate way to open up the door at the end. Basically, he just goes through a sewer pipe that doesn't have any of this chemical or anything like that, and he's going to connect with the Echo Net in order to open the door. They get to the end of the tunnel and they see this plant. It's like a beautiful plant that is growing in between the cracks in this tunnel. And Tina's talking about the fact that, beauty even in the place of hopelessness and everything. And then Claptrap comes down. He's just like, I opened the door, and jumps right on the plant, and like starts squishing it back and forth because he's so excited that we're going and everything like that. Again, just a joke that you can see coming a mile away, and yet they still went for it. They look through the door because now they can see in, and they see that there are a group of psychos in this mine. And not just any psychos. These are I think they call them blood spots. I didn't write down the name, but I think they're blood spots. And basically, these are like psychos on steroids. Like, they're even worse than normal psychos. So after doing like a quick scan and stuff, Lilith and Roland both decide that there are too many to go on head on. They're not going to fight them. They're going to try to sneak around them. So they come up with the idea, because Claptrap is basically indestructible to bullets, they're going to send him to be a distraction. So he wheels his way through, gets to the front, and starts like talking to them and everything. And the blood spots, yeah, they go crazy, and they just start shooting at him, unloading on him. And so he's taking all of them, and basically the crew is able to sneak behind them and get into the mine. This mine is full of a shit ton of boxes. And they know the key is supposed to be in one of them, but they're like, this is going to take a while. Unless somebody, I'm not going to name names, but somebody has a unique ability to be able to sense the keys that they never knew about before. And they look in one box and find it immediately. So they've got 2 of the 3 keys. This is great. This is good news, because now they can work on getting that 3rd key and then get to the vault, right? Well, they all of a sudden hear something, and it sounds like metal dropping. And they're wondering what the hell that is, and they're being quiet and everything. And it's Claptrap, and he is essentially pooping out the bullets. That's the best way I got for it, because he releases his back door and just literally like squeezes out these bullets. And he says he's getting rid of the unnecessary iron in his system because of all these bullets. But you know that noise, it draws the blood spots. They hear it and they start going crazy, and they start piling into the mines. And even though they agreed that they couldn't take them all on, well, they're going to go and try to take them all on. So they start shooting at them. They start blowing them up. There's a spot where Tina stabs one of them, and you can tell she gets a little bloodlusty. And basically, they're just going through all of them with the trope of, like, there's multiple tropes at this point. There's no reloading at all. We never see any of that. There's unlimited bullets, essentially. And bad guys miss every shot that they take. There's just 6 of them. Like, they should have been defeated at this point, in my opinion. Because you've got maybe 200, 300, like, blood-hungry psychos that are trying to kill anything that moves in there. And they just can't. They get out of the chamber with all the boxes, and they get to an elevator that needs fixing. So Tanis and Claptrap are going to try to restart it and get the cables working and everything like that. At first, they fix it. They think they're good. They get everybody to come back because Krieg and Roland go to the main like hallway that they're coming down and start shooting and taking out all of them. And Krieg is like battling all of them. And this is a part where they shoot the pipes, and the corrosive chemical like kind of melts the blood spots. That's when I was talking about the fact that this corrosive chemical can just like sit in metal and it's just fine. I didn't understand that at all, but basically some of these psychos are getting absolutely destroyed by this corrosive chemical. At the same time, Tina and Lilith are trying to block off another way that the psychos are trying to come through. And basically, Tina is able to help secure the door as they're pushing, and they can try to, like, you can see the screws are like pushing and everything's moving, and they're going to break through any second. They need to get this elevator up and running. Tanis and Claptrap finally think they got it working, so they get everybody to go to the elevator. They close the door and they press the up button. Nothing works. Tanis looks outside the elevator and sees that one of the wires needs to be connected, and somebody needs to connect it for them. So someone needs to stay behind. And that is Roland. Roland decides he's going to sacrifice himself for the good of the group to get this wire connected and try to take out as many of these blood spots as possible. Tina hands him a bunny bomb called Bob so that he has a fighting chance, and he goes out, connects the wire, they hit the elevator, and they fly up towards freedom, essentially. So here's my thing. For the most part, in movies, when somebody sacrifices themselves, you can usually guess it's either going to actually be a sacrifice or they're going to be safe somehow and that kind of thing. Even if he wasn't going to be safe, which I totally thought he was, Roland was kind of boring, and I would have been okay if he actually sacrificed himself. I actually think that would have helped his character a little more. Unfortunately, that's not how that goes. He did survive, and it's mostly because of Bob and because of his unlimited bullets hack that he somehow had. So he's able to take out all of the blood spots, and had told them that he would meet them at the vault. The rest get away, and they end up in this destroyed town, and this is where they're going to camp out for the night. Tanis puts together the two keys, and it creates this map that shows a phoenix, which is the god that protects the planet, and also where the vault should be. So Lilith recognizes it and knows where they're going to go and everything like that. Lilith also says to Tanis, like, okay, where do we get the third key? And Tanis goes, the girl is the third key. I don't know what's going to happen to her. And Lilith's just kind of like, you're just going to let her die for, like, treasure and everything like that? And Tanis is basically like, I don't know what else to do. Everybody's trying to get this vault. They're going to use her one way or the other. Lilith, of course, isn't happy with that answer, and so she walks away from the group while they're all getting ready to camp for the night. She had a beacon that she was supposed to press when she found the girl, so Atlas and his Lance soldiers could find the girl and take her, and then Lilith would get paid all this money. Lilith is full send now, and she decides she's going to smash the beacon. So she smashes it, and all of a sudden this thing comes in, like it's a little, like, drone kind of flying thing, and Atlas appears in like a R2D2-esque projector screen thing. Basically, it wasn't a beacon, it was a tracker to watch where they're going and everything like that, so he could figure out when they had the keys, everything like that. Even though I think that Lilith was not going to turn her in, she says she was, and I think it's just she was saying whatever to get out of that situation, where it's like, I'll tell you what you want to hear kind of thing. But of course, because it's a movie and movies have to movie, Tina sneaks around and heard it, and basically is hurt that she thinks Lilith is going to turn her in. Even though, again, like I said, I don't think she actually was. I think she was just saying what she could to get out of that situation. Well, Tina, of course, because she needs to react this way, throws an explosive at Lilith, and I don't think it's to kill her, but maybe it is, and it knocks her out, and she's unconscious for a while. It's the next day when Lilith wakes up, because there's light shining and everything like that. The rest of the group is gone, except for Claptrap, who is celebrating because he thinks that Lilith is dead and he no longer has to follow her around. And he's so excited, and then realizes she's still alive. Damn it. So you think that at this point, Lilith and Claptrap are going to go to the vault right away because they know that that's where the group is going. You'd think, right? No, they decide they're just going to like walk the town, this abandoned town, and Lilith doesn't seem to recognize that it's her own town that she was born in. Like, she says she doesn't know her mother very much because she was 8 when she died. I don't have the best memories from when I was 8. Like, I don't remember every last thing that happened, but I think I would remember my town or like what my house looked like, or that I would even remember my mother. I think I would at that point. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know anything about the human memory. I'm a guy who watches movies for a living, and bad movies at that. So it's not like I know everything about the human mind and memory. But I think I would recognize my house even if it was destroyed. I'd recognize something about it. She doesn't recognize it at all. And then Claptrap sees a drawing in one of the houses, and all of a sudden he just like flips backwards and becomes the R2D2 projector with a message for Lilith. It was her mother that was telling her how special she is and that she didn't want to let her go and that she misses and loves her, and that Claptrap would be waiting for her when she got to the planet, and he would find her and take her to find her home, find her belonging, everything like that. You know, just mumbo jumbo about you belong, you're special, that kind of stuff. Because it happens in all of like 10 seconds, it doesn't feel very emotional. It doesn't feel like the turning point of the movie that I think they're trying to make it be. But it gives her this little boost, and she decides she's going to go and save Tina after all. Meanwhile, Tina is there with Tanis and Krieg, and they have found the vault entrance. Krieg actually does, and after a while of them not listening to him, he finally like smashes something and goes, "This is where it is." You know, like, haha, this is funny because they weren't listening to him about the vault, but he knew where the vault was. Again, the humor in this movie is not great. So, Tanis gives the 2 keys together to Tina. She places them where they're supposed to go, and it creates like these footsteps, like footprint spots that the child of the Iridium needs to stand on in order to open the vault. So Tina does so, and this is finally it. This is the moment. She knows she's special. This is finally the moment where it's going to be like, great, I stepped here, I opened the vault, I am the special one. Unfortunately, the vault does not open, and Tina is very disappointed. You can see it in her face that she's just realizes she's not as special as she thought she was. And then, to make matters worse, Atlas and their army show up. And Atlas is happy they found the 2 keys, happy they found the vault, but also realizes he has to go back to the drawing board. So he tells Nox, the leader of his army, she needs to collect the child, not kill her, and scrape her organs because we're going to start from scratch again with her iridium blood to make another clone. Basically, at this point, not so fast, because Roland shows up and is there to help protect them. And this is one of the things that bugs me about this movie. Nobody knows where this vault is. They have an idea where it is, but they don't actually know where it is. When they put the 2 keys together, they got a map and they got to see where it was. Except for one big piece of movie plot hole is what I'll say. One big plot hole. When they found those keys, put them together, and saw where the treasure and vault were supposed to be, Roland was in the tube shooting at all these blood spots. He didn't see this map ever, and he just knows exactly where to show up. He just shows up and he's there. And just so happens to be on time to try to protect Tina. Also, him and Nox had some kind of like former chemistry, that kind of thing. Well, Nox, who sees that Roland is willing to put his life on the line for this little girl, basically says she doesn't want to kill the kid. So she stands with the crew as well. And you're expecting this big showdown. Well, Atlas vaporizes her immediately. Nox, gone. See ya. We don't need you anymore. They see those guns and they're a little more like, oh, we're outmatched. We're in trouble. But guess who shows up? Lilith and Claptrap. Yay! They have two more people to help them against this army. This should help, right? Basically, Lilith says to Atlas that she can get him in the vault. He just needs to let them go. That's all he wants. And Atlas says, done. If you can get me in the vault, fine. So Lilith goes, puts the key down, and steps on the 2 foot pads. And all of a sudden, things start happening. And she becomes the goddess protector of the planet. She has like these glowy light wings, and she can shoot like light phasers and everything like that. It's very like Captain Marvel-esque in that, just to give you an idea of like this light power kind of thing. And so at this point, I've called her Bird Person, essentially. She is able to get the vault arch open. She doesn't exactly open the vault, but she gets the arch open that she can open and like get them through. But for now, she instead decides that she's going to fight this army and try to like knock it down. And she's able to like send these light beams to protect her friends in this like light force field kind of thing. So like Roland's able to shoot through it, but they can't shoot him. Tina is able to, she's like floating and she's able to toss these bombs and like kill a bunch of them. Krieg is going nuts and fighting this one that kind of looks like Batman, only on like 50 million different steroids. It's like a Bane Batman hybrid. And at first, one of the things I forgot that Tina was just like, I'm not special, when she saw that Lilith was able to like open the vault and everything like that. And she looks at Tina and goes, Tina, you are special, just not in the way you thought. And, you know, it's a team boost. It feels good. Yes. Oh, friendship, that kind of thing. We've got the power of friendship. We can take down everything. Like I said, I called her Bird Person at this point because that's what she kind of looked like. And then Atlas has like this ship that's firing lasers at, this is what he killed Nox with. Lilith gets downed by these things, but she's able to get back up. So that's when I'm like, it's Phoenix Person. Just because I knew that it was going to come to something like that where she gets downed and like the Batman creature is winning the battle against Krieg, breaks half his mask, so you see kind of part of his eye. And so when she's downed, Atlas is able to grab Tina and like hold her at like knife point. And he also has like these deflector shield things, so she can't get to him and like take him out and save Tina. So Atlas is just like, no, you need to open the vault and you need to get me what's inside of there, otherwise Tina dies. And so Lilith opens the vault. The army stop fighting, everything like that. Lilith opens the vault, takes Tina, Atlas, and herself inside. And basically it's like this black chasm. It's not really like a treasure vault in my mind. There's like floaty things that are kind of like grayish, silvery, but there's nothing really in it. It's just like this expanse and everything like that. But Atlas is convinced it's going to give him this power and everything that he has this vault open. When in the vault, Lilith is able to disappear and kind of go back and forth and everything like that. So she's there, but she can't be seen. And she sneaks behind and like grabs the deflector shield thing from Atlas and then finally like shows herself in front of him and just kind of like, you know, okay, Atlas, you won. You've got the vault and everything. And then reveals it and is like, are you missing something? And Tina is able to like kick and get away from him. And she sends him flying in the vault. And it just so happens that it happens to be guarded by these threshers. And so this thresher is like grabbing him. And he's just like, but what about the vault? What about the power inside? And Lilith says, that's the problem, Atlas. You like excess when really you should just be happy with enough. And her and Tina walk out of the vault. The door closes. And you see Atlas kind of being taken under by the thresher. So he's dead. And Lilith is a Phoenix Person. that doesn't go away just because she opened the vault and now it's gone and everything like that. She remains a Phoenix person, including the planet. Basically, she does. They start clearing the planet of like the psychos and stuff and getting their planet back. And it's a town of peace now. Like Sanctuary City is peaceful and they have fireworks. And the end of the movie, Lilith launches herself into the sky and like explodes as a firework of the Phoenix. And that's it. That is the end of Borderlands. And hopefully the series. Because I'm sure they probably left themselves out somehow to make another movie eventually. And God, I hope not. I really hope not. Because, like I said at the beginning of this, I think 5% is cruel. I think 5% is a little low to be about this movie. It's not good. And that is the thing. I'll say that this is not a good movie. I'm not recommending it for anybody. I wrote a review and gave it, because you can only do half or 1 star. I gave it 1 star. My rating probably out of 5 would be that like 1 star or one Thresher piss ball out of 5. That seems like the best way I can describe it. Because the cast is incredible, but they have no chemistry with each other. And a lot of the times they seem like they're walking through it. One of the things I think they actually did well was the fact that Kevin Hart wasn't his Kevin Hartiest. But it also makes it kind of bland for Roland. I think he could have been a lot more... I don't know. With the right casting, I think he could have definitely been better. I don't think Kevin Hart was the right casting at all, because I think Roland could have been the right amount of funny, the right amount of heroic, the right amount of whatever with him. With Kevin Hart, you never felt the heroism. And because he's not being like Kevin Hart goofy and jokey, haha, and everything like that, you also are kind of losing a lot of the character because he's just not... that's not his strength, is what I'll say. And it's not anything about Kevin Hart. He's done some movies that I've enjoyed him in. He's done some movies I've hated him in. It's not his fault in this situation, because he definitely saw this movie and thought this is a great thing for me to star in, that kind of thing. But it just wasn't his strength. It wasn't his good role for him. I've already talked about Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't think she needed to be in this at all. I think Tannis as a character could have probably been forgotten, because she was truly on the back burner for a lot of it. For more than half the movie, she wasn't even in it. And then the other half, she was just doing things like fixing the wiring or putting the keys together. And I think you could have easily done that with one of the other characters already established. I feel like she was definitely an afterthought, and they just needed to get her involved somehow. The chemistry between Lilith and Tina was all right. I think that was probably one of the better parts of the chemistry for the team. And if that was supposed to be the drawing effect of it, the drawing charm, everything like that. So as much as I say that's probably the better of the chemistries, that doesn't mean necessarily that it was great. I think they definitely had some moments that was like great, and then some moments where it's just like, why are you doing this? You don't even seem to like each other, so why are you doing this? And especially the part where Tina feels like she's being betrayed by Lilith. Tina has shown that she didn't really act on impulse for some of this stuff. Some of it definitely. I mean, she's a kid. She's going to act on impulse. I think in that situation, she wouldn't have acted on impulse. She wouldn't have tried to blow up Lilith. I think she would have tried to talk to her maybe, and they could have had a conversation where she said even, I'm just telling him what he wants to hear. I want to help you. I want to get to the vault. You are special to me, that kind of thing. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm reading into this movie, because truthfully, I feel like I'm at a high school reading level of a first grade writing project, Like, I'm trying to read into this and see, like, oh, the door is blue because of sadness and the feelings he's feeling. No, the door was just blue because I made it fucking blue. That's what it feels like this movie. It feels like it thinks it's smarter than it is, but it feels as well like it's written at an elementary school level. I would be intrigued to read the first script that everybody was going bananas for. I think this is definitely a lot of studio interference. I think this is definitely a lot of Eli Roth. The fact that the one guy asked for his name to be taken off the script says a lot to me. At the end of the day, he didn't feel like enough of his script was in there to even warrant leaving his name on for the 1/8% of what was maybe left over. That's what's crazy to me with some of this stuff is at the end of the day, you have not only one, but three pretty great games to build lore off of, to use, and to create a fun story. And I don't think they did that. I think this was a very basic understanding of the characters. And again, I didn't play these games. I know enough about them, but I didn't play these games. So I'm like speaking of these characters as if I know them pretty well. I think I know these characters well enough to know that they weren't done right by this movie. And I wish that somebody would have taken more time to flesh out these characters or whatever. And that's the problem too, is especially the end. I feel like we got to the end, we got to the vault, and I think in the games themselves, it was like, it's a long journey. I mean, that's what's tough about adapting a video game to a movie is you're trying to squeeze in these 2 hours. That's not what's going to happen with a movie like this. You have to establish the characters, and maybe you could have split it up a little more. I hate that idea of we're going to make 3 movies out of the Hobbit book, but with something like this, I think you could have expanded on it a little more and made it a little more fun, given the characters a little more depth, and just made it a little more bombastic and fun. That's another issue I had with this movie. I don't think any of it was like bombastic and fun. I think the one mine scene where they're going off and shooting all of the blood spots was the one time they could have gone a little crazier. And Jill said it in our discussion best that it feels like Diet Guardians of the Galaxy. But like Guardians of the Galaxy found fun ways to do like color or like music and that kind of thing into the storyline to make the battles a little more fun when they're actually having these battles. I feel like that mine scene, they could have done a lot more fun with it and made it stand out a little more. I will say, however, bringing up sound design, this soundtrack was very good. I did enjoy the soundtrack a lot. I would probably listen to the soundtrack again. So I would give the movie 1 star, but I'd give the soundtrack probably a 4 or 5. They definitely had some good hits that I was a big fan of, including closing in a Black Keys song. I'm a big Black Keys fan, so even more so, I was very happy for that. And that kind of felt like the reward at the end of this movie where it was like, oh God, it's finally over. And we get a Black Keys song? This is amazing. Oh my God, I'm so happy. So, yeah. Ways I would have fixed this movie, I would have made the characters, I would have given them more depth. I would have made some of the characters, either I would have taken them out or I would have tried to give them more to do, because a lot of these characters felt like they just didn't have a lot to do. You made the main character Lilith, and though she has some good moments and everything like that, I think each of these characters should have had more moments individually, because I feel like all of the moments were on Lilith's side, not on anybody else's side, except for the one Tina where she's like, I'm not special, and we get that moment of, no, you are special, just not in the way you thought. Like, I think that was a good moment that could have been better too. I don't think they laid that out perfectly, but I do think that was a better part than I thought it would be. But all of the moments seemed to happen to Lilith, and we never had any growth from anybody else because we didn't see much of anything from anybody else. So I would have given more moments to characters to flesh them out a little more, or something to do, or getting rid of some of the characters when they just didn't have anything to do. I would have made it more fun, tried to make the battle scenes stand out a little more and not just be, okay, we're firing a bunch of bullets at some unnamed army people, you know? Given each character to kind of shine in their battle and everything like that. I think that would have been fun. And then, truthfully, once we got to the vault, we wrapped it up. in like 5 minutes. Like it was a quick wrap up where it was cool. We're gonna have this big showdown with Atlas and these army people and everything like that. It's a few pew pew pews, few Phoenix person stuff, and then finally when it was just Atlas, Lilith, and Tina, they were able to dispatch him really quickly and kick him to a thresher of all things to destroy him. Plus, it wasn't Handsome Jack. And that's another thing we want in these games and this movie. I think all of this should be building, even if it wasn't in the first one. Even if it wasn't in the first one, I think that they should have at least given some kind of hint that Handsome Jack was around, or even just a throwaway like wanted poster with Handsome Jack or something fun. I don't know. But that's what it comes down to. That's what it is. So yeah, Borderlands, not very good. Again, I think that 5%, 8%, it's a little harsh. I would give it more like a 30 to 32 range. But overall, I still think this was a bad movie, and I still count it as a bad movie, even though some of the positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are making it above a 40% for the audience score. I still think that's way too high. So yeah, that was Borderlands. Don't go see this movie. Don't do it. Especially if you're a fan of the games and everything like that. Don't waste time on this. Don't ruin your expectations of this. I was kind of excited about it when I saw they announced it, but then seeing who was landed to direct it and then some of the names of the people that were going to be in it, I was kind of, are we sure? Does that really make sense? But here we are. They released the movie. It happened. And yeah, it's a 1 Thresher piss bomb out of 5 for me. So, well, that'll do it for this episode of Game for a Movie, where we ask, are you game for a movie? If you have some bad movies you think we should cover on the show, please feel free to reach out to us at Game for a Movie on X and Instagram and TikTok. I will say no longer on Facebook as much. But yeah, that's what happens, you know. Thank you guys very much for listening, and we will see you next time on Game for a Movie. I've been your host, Mike, and we'll see you next time on Game for a Movie.